Sit right back, the time is now. Tammy's gonna show you how to cook it up like Mama used to do. Well, she makes it easy.
It is the best spice cake, to me, you will ever eat because it's not overwhelmingly spicy. It's just absolutely delicious.
She shows you tricks before too long and all real quick, and the all-star of the kitchen will be you.
Hey y'all, it's Tammy with Collard Valley Cooks, and today we're making my delicious spice layers. They're very light in spice, almost like Snickerdoodle type, and I made a cream cheese icing. So both of these recipes are in our first volume cookbook, and now you can find them on the website, printable. Now today I did something special, and I used monk fruit sugar in the cake layers with granulated monk fruit, and I use a monk fruit powdered sugar for the icing. So this is a diabetic friendly cake. Now you can use both of these recipes with regular sugar or a baking sugar-free sugar. It should work. Let's get started. Okay, this is our spice cake layer. It is a very delicious cake, and it's very light on the spices. It's almost like a Snickerdoodle cake. So we're gonna start mixing it up, and you're gonna start off, of course, with your butter and sugar. So the first thing we're gonna do is put in it's a 1.5 sticks of salted butter. And we're gonna start mixing this up until it gets nice and fluffy. We're gonna add 1 3/4 cups of granulated sugar. This is a 1/2 cup scoop. So that's 1. And 3/4. I'm just going to make sure and scrape, make sure none of that butter stuck on the sides of the bowl. Never hurts to scrape and make sure everything's getting in there and getting mixed up really good. Now I'm going to go ahead and add my spices. We're going to be using a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. We'll go ahead and put in the vanilla too. A teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, a 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. And we're going to go ahead and start mixing that up. We're going to be using self-rising flour today, and 1.5 cups of milk that is pretty much room temperature. You don't want to put it in there real cold. And of course you want your eggs to be room temperature as well. I'm actually using a monk fruit sugar today in my cake. I'm also going to use a monk fruit sugar for the powdered sugar. And so I'll let you know how this turns out. I have not made a cake with my monk fruit sugar before, so we'll see how it does. So you're going to see me alternately add 1.5 cups of milk with 2.5 cups of self-rising flour. And of course we're using white lily because it is equivalent to a cake flour in its weight. It's the only flour I think that is actually that lightweight. So we're going to be using the self-rising flour instead of adding baking powder and salt, okay? Now we're going to get started and finish up mixing up our delicious cake. can really tell a different consistency in the batter using that monk fruit. So hopefully it's gonna make a good cake. We're not gonna know till we get it in the oven and see how it does rising. We're gonna spray this with Baker's Joy. I won't put 2 cups in each one. I may only have 3 layers, but we'll see how many I can make. So that's 2 cups of batter in each cake pan. We're gonna get these in the oven and get them ready. And I went ahead and I flipped these out pretty quickly. If you do, be very careful and use something thin to hold the pan with. And they're very delicate. All right, these cake layers, we did use the artificial sweetener in, and I noticed that they didn't rise quite as high, and they're a little denser, although this crumb is very soft, and I think it's gonna be absolutely delicious. I am gonna flash freeze these layers before I ice them to make it easier to ice. So I would give you a piece of advice on that one. It's also gonna take these a little bit longer to get browned and get done than a regular sugar cake, okay? So just check it in 20 minutes and continue to check it. Now, if you're making a deeper layer than a 2-cup batter layer, then I suggest you cook it at least 30 minutes before you check on it, all right? When you make an icing, you always want to use your whisk attachments so that it'll beat more air into your frosting and make it fluffy. Today we're going to be using 8 ounces of cream cheese and 1 stick of butter, salted butter, room temperature. All right, we've added the butter and the cream cheese to the mixer. Now we're going to start beating it until it's nice and fluffy. This is going to take a few minutes, so make sure you beat it for a while. All right, this icing recipe is in my first volume cookbook, and it gives you an alternate making a cream cheese icing for a red velvet. I add toasted chopped pecans into that one. A carrot cake, we just use it plain like we're gonna do today with nothing added but the vanilla and the powdered sugar. Banana bread is also good with this type of icing. And then the Italian cream cake that I make, I actually toast coconut and add a 1/2 cup of pecans. I toast the pecans and the coconut at the same time, and I add that to the icing, and it's really good. And of course you could use that on any cake that you think that would be good on. Now today we are making an exception to the recipe, and today we are going to use a monk fruit powdered sugar, which means it is diabetic friendly and it is an artificial sweetener. It does not affect blood sugar levels. If for some reason you're a diabetic and you have a special occasion and you want to use this type of sugar, I'm about to find out how it tastes. Now I can tell you right now it tastes super sweet. So to make a cream cheese icing with it, it's probably going to taste better than a decorator's icing. All right, we're going to get started. I'll go ahead and add a little vanilla. Now, if you wanted to, since I'm using this on a spice layer, you could add a little cinnamon to it. I think it would be good. And we might just do that today. and use this to ice our cake. And because it is so sweet, I think I'm going to add a little bit more spice to it. And now it's time to ice this cake up. Now, I used the remaining of the batter in one pan, so it's just a little bit taller than the other two. So we're gonna actually put it on the bottom when we ice it. And I'm gonna go ahead and ice this one layer, and then I'm gonna bring you guys up close so that you can just watch me ice the cake to a little bit of fun music. And we'll swirl the top. Let's see if I can get out some of this off the bottom. And this consistency, this icing is very much a consistency that you could use to decorate with. There we have it. Now, if you wanted to make it really pretty, I'm going to scrape this off and show you. You could put a really thin layer on here. And this cake's not crumbling like I thought it would. So that's a good thing for if you wanted to decorate it. And I will show you what you could do if you want to just barely put a thin layer on it. This is a rosette tip. It's 2F as in Frank. But you can fill a tip and actually ice it with rosettes. And now we're going to take a cinnamon stick and we're going to grate some cinnamon around the edges. So we're going to give it a try. The cake has a nice texture. It's good. It did a good job baking up the cake. The layers are nice and moist and soft. And the icing is delicious. And remember, all of our recipes can be found on our website. Y'all have a wonderful day, and thanks so much for watching Collard Valley Cooks, where we cook like Mama did. Bye, y'all. We love you. Come back and see us. Bye.
Cooking time, it's over now. Tammy, she just showed you how to cook it up like Mama used to do. do. So go on out and have some fun. Now you're getting dinner done with Collard Valley Cooks